everybody. I hope you're doing very well and having a fantastic day. Debate and Discussions is here today to talk to you about rebuttals and POIs. This is a complex debating topic, but I think you're ready for it. So let's get started. Before we dig into what rebuttals and POIs is, it is important for us to understand a basic construction of a debate. Now, a debate in this context is a traditional debate where you have 4 speakers and not more. This is not something like MUN, which is a discussion, because that's slightly different. A traditional debate, there are 2 teams. There is an affirmative team, a negative team. You can also call it the for and against, or the proposition and opposition. We like to call it the affirmative and negative team. Now, these 2 teams are fighting, arguing, or debating on a motion. And the motion is a debating topic. They are provided a debating topic and they must, from whatever team that they have been assigned is, debate in regards to that. A common misconception is that you get to pick what side you go on and whether you agree or disagree. That's not really the case. Whatever team you have been put in, that's the side you are debating for. So debating more than it is proving your opinions or finding your opinions and putting it forward, that's not the essential purpose of a debate. The essential purpose of a debate is to fight for whatever motion you have been provided, whether you believe it or you don't. And most debaters, their luck is always to get the side that they don't want to be at, but that's just the nature of it. Now, when you have 2 teams and they each consist of 4 members, so that's a total of 8 debaters. This is how a standard debate works. The first speaker who's going to open the debate is going to be the first affirmative speaker. The second speaker who's going to speak after that is going to be the first negative speaker. And that keeps bouncing back. So then the second affirmative speaker will go, followed by the second negative, third affirmative, third negative. Traditional debating says 4th affirmative or 4th negative, but modern debate has now switched these roles up and said 3rd negative and then the 4th affirmative. So the last 2 roles have been switched up simply to provide equal chances of rebuttals, and that's how important it is that to switch a speaker role. So everybody gets to speak and the debate is open and closed by the affirmative team. So this is the normal structure. Now it is important to know this because this is how a rebuttal works. A rebuttal is essentially one team disagreeing to a point made by the other team during their speech. For example, if I'm in the affirmative team and I'm the second speaker and the first speaker of the negative team made a point, I can disagree to it as a team. So I, in my speech, in the time that I have been provided, can say the negative team made a point of so and so. I or our team or the affirmative team politely disagree to that because. In that because, you state either a limitation, either a disagreement, or either a fact that can prove it wrong. So limitation, a fact that can prove it wrong, or a point that can deem it. Now, rebuttals are extremely important because essentially what you're trying to do is cross out all the points that they have made, prove them wrong, so there is no room for them to win the debate. And that's what a rebuttal essentially is. A POI, on the other hand, is a point of information. And a POI is essentially during a debate, the other team can very simply raise their hand up and say POI. And that is when you ask a question to the member of the other team who is speaking. Now, this is what most of you are used to seeing the most, which is on the TV and news. It's not that disorganized, but it is on the same line that when somebody else is speaking and there is a point that they have made which doesn't make sense, or it's not a related fact, or you have something to prove it wrong, you very simply raise your hand up and you ask a question. My students have a very difficult time asking 1-sentence questions, and that is the essentiality of a POI. you need to ask one sentence of a question. You do not make a point and then ask a question, because when you're asking a POI, that time duration is being cut off the other speaker. And if you go on too long rambling about your POI, the judges will cut marks because you're deeming their team's time. A POI and a rebuttal do not have to be answered. If I am speaking and the other team makes a POI, I can say declined. And this happens when either my other teammates have taken up a lot of POIs, or I'm just not having it and I have a lot of points down and I want to speak about them. When another team makes a rebuttal, you have the full chance in the next speaker to rebut that point. And you can do that for sure. You don't have to, however. This is essentially what a rebuttal and POIs is. And in the coming weeks, you'll see our children rebuttaling to get an even better idea of how it works. Any questions, feel free to email us at debateanddiscussions@gmail.com. And if you have any other questions, put them in the comments below. Let's see if we can answer them. Have a fantastic day.